just be honest, this was the greatest interview of all time.
This is Donovan Copley from Hot Water.
Hi, I'm Kerry Miller.
Hey, I'm Ross from Prime Circle.
Love RTL.
My new addiction.
Let me not just talk about it. Let me show you in the back of the window where I'm at.
Cabinet has decided to place the entire country on alert level 2.
Noel, thank you for getting me out of bed this morning.
Informative.
Relevant.
Diverse.
Interactive.
So educational.
Fantastic. Super fulfilling.
I think most of the time in South Africa, certainly provincial cricket, they might as well play because there's no spectators going to watch anyway.
The hugging, the shaking of hands, and kissing is a thing of the past.
And then overnight into Thursday, we're expecting that cold front to spread showers into most.
Playlist is incredible.
Love the music.
Best music. Entertaining. So entertaining. Entertaining.
They wanted radio people because radio people can basically talk shit when things go wrong.
A sight that just a few weeks ago seemed scarcely possible. Eden Park is back in business, a capacity...
No, but seriously, on a serious note, I think I actually swiped right from you the one day when I saw you. I don't know.
You didn't.
But you wouldn't know.
And I love the dress. If I tell you, I didn't even wear a bra, that was so good.
Splashdown.
As you can see on your screen, we have visual confirmation for Splashdown.
I will try to fix you.
You guys are the lifeblood of what's left of this music industry.
And of course, Noel Johnson. We love your sexy legs. Especially because of Noel Johnson. Jeez, that man is sexy. Thank God for RTL SA.
You are a star.
RTL SA.
Home of legends.
Right, the Times coined her as the Charlize Theron. Or is it Theron? Esjay Jones joining me on RTL SA today. Welcome to the show, man. So good to see your face again, even though it's on a screen as usual. So listen, is it Theron or is it Theron?
Oh, God. I mean, who knows? Who knows, right? If we're in South Africa, it's Theron. And if we're over here, it's like I keep saying with like the gnarliest accent ever. Like, oh my God, Theron.
Now listen, your accent's developed a little bit. You got a little twang going on over there.
Do I? Oh no, I'm sorry.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
It's been like 12 years. It's been this is my 11th or 12th year here now. So, I still have a good like lacquer from Durban kind of twang, you know.
Has it been that long already? 12 years. Wow.
Crazy. Huh?
It's insane.
2009, September 2009 is when I cruised this side.
Do you know what I remember about you? Because I met you like maybe 20 years ago when you were still walking around in North Beach with your guitar on your back, and we used to sort of have beverages. What was that pub called? Was it called Blue Island? Was it?
Oh man, what was it called? Was it what?
I'm sure it was Blue Island. Something like that.
It was something or like gosh, I'm having a complete blank. How annoying.
Okay, it was like 20 years ago.
I can see it. I can see the sign in my head, and I just can't. It wasn't. I missed it.
Yeah.
Lost it.
Anyway, that was back in the days when North Beach was still beautiful. And the people will hate me for saying it's not so beautiful anymore, but it has changed a lot. You were here not too long ago.
Yeah. Came out in what, 2016? Was it that long ago now? 2017?
17, 18, somewhere around there.
Yeah, came out with Alien Ant Farm.
That's right.
And we did a little tour of South Africa. That was fun.
How does a Durban girl go from being a Durban girl to being someone that is now touring with Alien Ant Farm? And taking nothing away from Stealing Love Jones, because I know you guys did some amazing stuff from there, but I mean this is another level now. This is like a totally different level.
I think I'm very grateful to the foundation that South Africa gave me. It's like we were really big fish in such a little pond. And that foundation of learning and allowing me to get my O1 visa, because I'd done so well and the band did so well in South Africa. I was able to get my O1 visa, which led me to be able to work here in the States. Which has led me into the rooms with like the Korn guys and Alien Ant Farm and Billy Corgan and all sorts of really incredible artists. So
Escape the Fates. One of my favorite bands.
Every little bit of credit to South Africa for setting me up for success, because it really did. Being in Stealing Love Jones and the fans and the family and the love that South Africa gave us has brought me exactly to where I am in my life right now.
Now, it's quite an interesting.
You guys.
We miss you too, but it's good to see you. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about what you're up to and things like that, because I know Pigs is going to be something incredible. I was listening to the track the other day, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But I remember back in the day, before you guys became Stealing Love Jones, it was just Love Jones. And if I remember correctly, there was a little bit of drama around the name back in the day. There was another band called Love Jones as well, or something like that?
Correct. Yeah, so there was another band called Love Jones, and before we came on our US tour, the band basically sent us a lawyer's letter and said, if you don't change your name, we're going to sue you. So hence Stealing Love Jones. The quick, easy way to do it.
But what I always enjoyed about Love Jones and Stealing Love Jones is the fact that you guys sort of made it like a family type of band. I mean, you guys all adopted the surname Jones, and it was Steve Jones, and it was that and whatever. What was the thinking behind that? Was that just a marketing gimmick, or is that what the band was really like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a little bit of both. It was for sure a marketing gimmick that nobody knew whether we were family members, brothers, sisters, like what is the deal. But I mean, I really did. Every single one of those boys to this day are still, my family. I speak to them all the time, keep up with their lives. And South Africans definitely have a very close-knit relationship with each other. And that's something that I miss in the States. I don't feel that same like lack of South African mart thing, It's different.
Weekend bras and stuff like that. Yeah. You don't do much of that there?
Well, no, I mean, like, for sure we have lots of barbecues and stuff, but it's just different, It's like everything's gas. It's like you're not doing it over like coals. It feels different. It's a different culture for sure.
Let me tell you something, okay? I was very opposed to gas until I was given a gas braai for my birthday. It changed my life.
And now you're like, oh my gosh, this is the easiest thing. You know what I really miss? I really, really miss is a skottel braai.
A skottel? What about a potjie?
Yeah. Oh, I haven't had a potjie in years, man.
Oh, man. Oh. Which potjies did you like? I get the idea you like an oxtail type of potjie girl or something like that.
Yeah, I liked oxtail. That was good. And I loved a good bunny chow too, huh? Like after a serve, like you go down and get like a little bit of milk and a bunny chow, and you just sit on the beach. These are such great memories. And I guess something that you can hold on to, and hopefully when I come back and visit you guys, I can relive some of those memories. Are there still some good bunny chow places out there?
Oh man, they will never go anywhere. They will be here forever. It's like so many, especially in Durban. There's so many good places to get good bunnies, and if there's no curfew, sometimes 24 hours a day as well.
So good.
Oh no, tell me about it. What time is it there now? I know that you're about 8 hours behind us, or?
Yeah, it's 10 hours. It's 11:15.
In the morning.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming
I would be happy. I would be having a beer with you right now, but it's a little bit too.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. I'm assuming you're not having a beer or anything. You got a little coffee or something going on over there.
A little coffee ace in the old cup.
What's it been like living in California? It must have been a hell of an adjustment. I mean, Durban's a city, but it's nothing like California, you know. Seriously, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, LA is, if you want to be in the music business, if you want to be in the entertainment business, if you want to be an actor, you know, this is where you have to be. LA, California, New York is the capital of the music and entertainment industry for the world. So it's really interesting. It's a very transient feeling city, whereas Durban doesn't feel transient. And I think that's like the major difference is that everybody that is in LA is there because they want something and they want something from you. So it's people are climbing the ladder, they're hustling. And I guess that's the energy that's different. It's not mellow, it's not chill, it's just like it's cutthroat.
If you can compare a South African city to California, and I know it's probably very difficult, but would you maybe say Joburg, Cape Town? Maybe Cape Town.
I reckon the hustle and bustle of Joburg, but with the beauty and beaches of Cape Town. You know, and people in Cape Town I find are pretty chill and mellow, and LA people in general, I mean, Californian people in general are pretty mellow just because it's like San Diego surfer vibes, but I think LA is like a hustle city for sure.
What made you decide to go? What was the thinking behind it? Like, I'm done with South Africa, I'm over it, or I've got bigger ambitions and I need a bigger market? Yeah,
you know, I think we were so young when Stealing Love Jones kind of took off, and so lucky. I appreciate every single moment that we had with Stealing Love Jones. And, you know, I financed an American tour for the band, and so we came over here, me and the boys, and we did like a 3-month gnarly tour, and it basically tore the band apart. You know, we just weren't prepared. Like I said earlier, we were such big fish in such a small such a small market, in such a small pond. And so I guess the band disbanded after that tour. It was like we got back and it was like, well, F you, I hate you, I don't want to see you again. And I was just like, well, I don't believe that this is where I stop. I'm pretty ballsy and brazen, and my ambition really is pretty gnarly, and so I literally just sold up everything I had and jumped on a plane and moved over, and I literally started from scratch again, man. It was like I was literally sleeping on people's couches, playing cover shows 5 to 6 nights a week, you know. So yeah, I went from being a rock star in South Africa to being a musician playing cover songs in bars. So it was kind of like I redid my music life all over again in the States. But I think South Africans, we do have, I've used the word hustle a lot, but we really do have like a hustle in our blood. You know, every South African that I've met is like, we have a work ethic unlike a lot of other people, because nothing gets given to us for free, you know? So Absolutely. It's like we don't have a system that if we hurt ourselves, we get unemployment, or we get where in America there is. So I think there's a level of like, I have to set myself up, I have to hustle, otherwise this is not going to happen. Like, it's not going to happen for me. So yeah, that's pretty much how it started. And I just knew that I needed to be here. I felt like my voice and not necessarily my singing voice, but like who I am as a brand and a person, that I needed to be heard, and that I had something, whether it be on the production side, whether it be on the songwriting side, whether it be on the performance side, that I had something that the world needed to hear.
That's always one thing that stood out about you, to me, was the fact that you use that word hustle. That's exactly what you did. Because when I said you walked around in North Beach with your guitar on your back, you literally did. You went knocking on doors, looking for opportunities, looking to make things happen back there. How different was it when you got to California having to do the same thing? Was it more difficult or was it a little easier?
I think it was more difficult because my pride was really hurt. You know, it's like I really had to learn how to humble myself, because there was no special treatment over here. Nobody knew who the fuck Stephen Love Jones was, you know? So it was kind of like, it was starting from scratch, and even less, like even further from where I was in South Africa, further behind. So, I mean, it was literally the same thing. It was just, I would get up and every opportunity that I knew, was there an event going on there? Like, if I needed to be in LA, how could I get there? You know, I didn't have a car at that time. So it was like finding friends who could drive me, sleeping on people's couches. Like, how can, like, all of these opportunities to line up. So, I mean, it was really cool. It's been a really interesting life, and lots of lessons learned.
And I also think that starting out like that, you know, and take nothing away from these amazing vocalists that win talent competitions and stuff like that. I think there's just something special about somebody that creates their own path through struggles and through drama and things like that. I think you have a totally different appreciation for what you do.
Man, 100%. Like, I honestly, I have a really hard time, and I understand that the music business is a business, you know, and it's basically, it's a commodity, you know, that's what artists are. But it really, I have a really hard time swallowing like the whole American Idol or South African Idol, whatever it is, because it's like, oh, okay, so yesterday you were a dentist and today you're the biggest rock star in the world. It's really tough for me to be like, oh, that person, as talented as they may be, they haven't put in that blood, sweat, and tears. You know, the 10 years of sleeping on floors and playing
all the disappointments.
These awful venues to one person.
The disappointments that come along with it as well. The doors that close in your face.
Yeah. Oh, so many.
Did you, I guess, how did you start that? Did you start doing like open mics and stuff? But the question I actually want to ask, did you ever go to a place where you were attending an open mic and there was like somebody really famous on the same lineup?
No, I mean, I haven't had those kind of opportunities happen. I mean, I've been to open mics where, for example, at Hotel Cafe, where Katy Perry was playing, but I wasn't performing on the open mic.
Was this before Katy cracked it though? Because I know she worked hard as well. Okay.
Yeah, she definitely did. She deserves every little piece of it. I mean, I wish she was more rock and roll, but you know, she's bad.
But okay, let me ask you this question now that you say that, because I was watching an interview a little while back with Lady Gaga, and she actually sat down in front of a piano and played Poker Face the way she wrote it, which was like totally different, more melodic and more rocky than it was when it was released. Did you ever feel pressure to change your music in such a way so that you could, you know, succeed or get heard or something like that?
Well, that's a really great question. I feel like this is a two-part question for me, because for the We Are Pigs project that I've just started during the pandemic, that is 100% zero compromise. I do not care This is not about radio play. This is not about pop music. This is about fulfilling what I want for music. However, from the production point of view, you know, my job as a producer when labels hire me is to try and help the artists get their song into a more commercial form. So it's been a really interesting learning lesson for me, because as much as I'm just like, I want artists to be original, and I'm so anti this cookie cutter formula, I understand that formula is there for a reason. You know, the reason the pop music industry exists is because this cookie cutter formula works so well. And it's if you can put yourself in the right place in the right time and fit within that little cookie cutter formula, you're gonna make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
so I guess two parts to that question. After being in the pop music industry in the States here for the past 8 years, and a lot of people out there listening probably don't know this, but I organically transitioned into the songwriter producer role for other artists. So labels would hire me to make their artists more commercially viable, which is just, it sounds awful, you know, but it's a job. It's a job, right?
No, absolutely. You got to pay the bills.
Yeah, and so, you know what? I've learned a lot. I really have. I've learned so much by sitting over the shoulders of some of the biggest producers in the world, whether it be Alex the Kid or J.R. Rotem, and I've learned. I've had an education that I could not have paid for by sitting over the shoulders of these guys and just absorbing every single thing they do. And I'm great at what I do. However, I just feel like there's a time and a place where you can also just be like, let art rule.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
and that, like I said, the Pigs project is that. It's just, there's nothing commercial about it. I mean, the melodies are pretty poppy, but it's like, you're not ever going to hear this on the radio, like on pop radio.
You actually sort of answered my next question, because I was going to ask you, how did it happen? How did you go from being Esjay the rock star to Esjay the highly acclaimed producer that you are?
You know, it really was very organic. I think without knowing it, writing and recording the first two Stealing Love Jones records with David Birch and Bjorn Thorsrud, you know, without realizing it, I was already producing while writing. And I think because of my upbringing in the church, I had a very pop melodic value installed in me. Like, you know, Christian music is very poppy. It's there to be able to have an entire congregation sing all together.
Along. Absolutely, yeah.
Right. So I think as much as I have a disdain for my youth in the church now, I'm really grateful for it, because it really indoctrinated me into this pop melody, which has been very helpful in my career.
Okay, you and I didn't get a chance to chat much leading up to this, but I feel maybe I should probably told this 20 minutes ago when we started. But this is a conversation. This is not an interview per se.
Yeah.
So there's no restrictions and no limits. And in the second part, after the next music break, I'm going to put you a little bit of a hot spot, because that's what I do with my guests. Because it's all about getting to know you a bit better as a human being. But before I go there, I want to ask you now, if you had a choice right now, pick one. You can't blend them. If you had a choice to go perform on the biggest stage as a superstar, rock star, or be the most recognized producer in the world, what would you do?
I would probably choose the producer role, because the respect that comes with it would then organically open up the doors to be able to perform with whoever I wanted to. So I think it's kind of gone hand in hand.
What a great answer. Can you vote? Are you?
I can indeed.
Have you got your citizenship? You're all sorted.
I do. I'm all sorted. This was my very first time voting last year, and I did not vote for Trump.
You're stealing my thunder now, because that was going to be my question after the music break.
That guy's such a creep. Come on, man. It's like anyone with half a brain has to be like.
Okay,
I get it.
5 years ago, if you were able to vote, would you have voted for Trump?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. I mean, I was a big Obama fan. I'm a huge fan of kindness and compassion. And listen, I know that there's a whole other world of politics that happens, that maybe I haven't taken the time to understand. But I just think a person's character just shows so much, and what you evoke in other people, I think, is really important for leadership.
Awesome.
And I think that it's really hard coming from South Africa, because we have such awful leadership, and awful leadership from people of a certain color, so it's always, I think, a very difficult and touchy line for South Africans to understand the whole Obama thing. But that guy is just, I mean, I love him still. I love what he stands for. I think him and his wife are total badasses.
Total badasses. I don't think any American president has been called a badass, but I think he will take it.
Right.
All right, we're going to take a little music break. When we come back, I'm going to put you in a little difficult spot. See if you can like really talk yourself out of it. That's how we roll on Monday Madness.
Don't do that to me.
I want to be on lockdown with Noel Johnson.
You are listening to.
You're listening to.
You're listening to.
You're listening to Noel Johnson. Noel Johnson.
Noel Johnson.
And you're listening to Noel Johnson.
And you're going to party it up listening to Noel Johnson.
As I was saying, you're listening to my mate, Noel Johnson.
You're listening to Monday Madness.
Right, so Monday Madness, and of course we've got Esjay Jones in the house with us. Esjay, I've got to ask you, what is it like? What does it feel like when somebody refers to you as the Charlize Theron of South African music, or of the music industry in general?
I mean, I'm just like, what does that even mean?
I know.
I mean, listen, I think Charlize Theron is she's a powerhouse, so I take that as a huge compliment, and that maybe at some point in life I could do a fraction of what she's done for the world. I mean, her acting aside, she's a philanthropist and does so much for underprivileged people, so I think that's really awesome.
Living in the States in these times, specifically, pandemic, and I mean, I'm sure that we don't see the full picture this side. We only get portions of the news, but it seems like the States was a bit of a shit show for the last year and a half or so, or the years since the pandemic hit the world.
I would say that is a true statement.
I thought so.
It really, yeah, it really has been. I think this whole political climate has really highlighted how important leadership is in a country, and how important. You know, I really think it's so crazy, because I always think it blows my mind how one person can rally such emotion and evoke so much craziness in a group of people. And I feel like this past year and a half or whatever has kind of been like the Lord of the Flies. Remember that book?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I mean, it kind of felt like that, you know. It just had this like one, this person that's kind of just evoking all of these fears in people that I don't think were necessarily like that necessary or rational. You know, and you can have a lot of conversations with people, and I think that's the beauty about American life, which should be the beauty about America, is that you can have a conversation, but to a lot of people you can't. So I think it's important that you educate yourself, and you can have a clear and calm conversation, and somebody might really differ to your point of view, and if you want to sway somebody, then have your facts straight.
100%. But I think the difference between South Africa and the United States, for example, is that in South Africa, we've got a government that's telling us, and by the way, I don't know if you know the news, but we were told last night that our curfew has been reduced and we can buy beers on Sundays now. So I just thought I'd let you know, keep you informed. But the difference between South Africa... Between South Africa and the United States is, I think South Africa, we've got a government. They say how it's going to be, and that's what it is. Where in the United States, you got the federal government. They say something, but you got all the states doing different things. And I don't know. Maybe it just, for me, it just seemed, because I mean, I cover the news all the time, it just seems very confusing in the United States, where one state does one thing, another state does another thing. One state has curfew, another state doesn't.
Yeah.
Why didn't the federal government actually, you know, control the whole process in a pandemic? And I suppose you're going to answer it with the fact that there was no leadership, because there wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not the right person to be asking these questions, and they're really difficult questions. But
I told you it wasn't going to be easy.
Yeah, I think the fact that this is meant to be a democracy, you know, is that this is not controlled by a single, like, sure, there's the federal and then there's the state, but I think that makes it safer, because could you imagine if Trump had just had his way with everything, or vice versa, you know?
Yeah.
It's there for checks and balances, and that's really important, which I don't think South Africa is. Just, there are no checks and balances. It's just what whoever the president is now says. I don't even know who it is. What's his name?
Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa.
Cyril. What's up, Cyril?
I'll send him a clip of the video and let him know that you say hi. But the election now, I mean, recently, I mean, the election was quite tricky as well. And obviously with the whole Capitol Hill thing that happened as well, with the storming of the Senate and stuff like that. I mean, it must have been like really crazy in the States over that period.
Yeah, I mean, people were really fearful. Again, like this fear that Trump evoked in people was just like, I mean, you had it for majority. It was just like these really crazy, like, white people in the middle of the country, you know, doing, like, just being like, oh, like the Democrats are going to turn this into a socialist country, and you know, it doesn't make any sense at all. That would never ever happen. You know, there's allowed to be adjustments happening here and there. There's room for things to sway, but I think people felt so afraid. I mean, I know people that like left their houses to go to another state where it was more Republican, because they were afraid that the Democrats were going to come and like I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is insane. You know, I'm just like, okay, cool, I've got my gun, I'm good to go.
Such a Republican thing to say. Do you feel that Biden, and I'm going to move away from politics very shortly, but I want to ask you one or two more questions. Do you feel that Biden is the lesser of the two evils?
Listen, I voted for Biden because I really like Kamala. I think it's really cool that there's a woman, and I feel like it's time that we maybe get some fresh fresh blood in there, and Joe is the furthest thing from fresh blood. I mean, he's been in this cycle and this system for so long, but I think that it's one step closer to getting. I feel like a woman would have a different concept, have a different way of thinking, maybe have a little bit more empathy, maybe be able to lead in a way that would be different.
I'm going to say something.
I'm open to it, you know.
I'm going to say something that might sound sexist, but I don't mean it's sexist, because I will qualify what I'm about to say. But a woman will clean house. And I say
100%.
that because of history. We saw it happen with Margaret Thatcher. We've seen it now happen with Angela Merkel in Germany as well. They really bring a freshness to the approach of politics to a large degree. And I think that's where you're going with this.
Yeah, I mean, I look at, strangely enough, I was actually in New Zealand like 2 days before the lockdown happened. Like just the beginning of March 2019, was that 2020? Yeah, the beginning of March 2020, and just seeing how
Jacinta Ardern's amazing. I think Jacinta Ardern is probably the best leader in the world at the moment.
Right, it's just she's a breath of fresh air, and I think you know, for a lack of like a better term, it's like the old boys club needs to kind of, you know, like scoot over and let's just get something fresh in, because clearly it's not working. So let's find something like, hey, let's give it a chance, you know. Why not?
Okay.
Let's see. And if it goes really wrong, then we'll revert back. I don't know.
Now, with that said, I'm going to change the subject a little bit now, because Carmen Rodriguez, who is doing amazing things in the music industry in South Africa for herself, she asked a question. And the question is, where do you feel the music industry is heading with all the COVID restrictions and stuff like that? I want to add on to that question. And do you think that the music industry is still an old boys club?
So I'll answer this in two parts. So to Carmen's it's Carmen, right? She said
Carmen, yeah.
Carmen Rodriguez. So Carmen, to your question, I think even though with COVID and the restrictions, it has put a big barrier and limitation on touring, I believe that it's opening a massive door for artists right now to get their presence out there with online shows, with marketing, with creation. You know, like the time that I think we're going to have some of the best records and albums come out of this pandemic, because artists and bands have actually had the time to write. Usually how it works is that an artist or a band will sign a deal and you have to pump out a record every year, you know, and it's stressful because you're on the road and you still have to write, and you only have this much amount of time to do it. But so I think that is actually going to be really great for music in general. To what was the second half of the question again?
Yeah, my add-on was, do you think that the music industry globally and
it's a boys
more
club.
gentlemen's boys club, yeah?
You know, it's really interesting because I think it is to a certain degree. However, I have felt more support by men in the industry than I have by women. So I think it's a really tough, it's like a double-edged sword, you know, because the industry really is run by men. There's a couple of women in head positions right now, but to be honest, like, I haven't felt the support from them that I thought that I would. You know, for women that are being put into these positions, I would have thought they would have opened doors for more women, and I'm not seeing that happen. So I think it's really interesting, and I guess this is therefore a a challenge to any woman in position of anything to really help your fellow ladies, you know, because like it really is true, like guys help guys, women help guys. It is what it is, and I feel like women never really get the same equal opportunity, and if they do, there's it's a really tough question. It's a really tough question.
I told you it wasn't going to be easy.
I do think it's a boys' club still. I mean, 2% of women are producers and songwriters.
Well, there we go.
And that's
that explains
a statistic that came out of like Harvard last year. So it's completely
lopsided, almost.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't think that girls can do it. I feel like maybe women in general maybe want to be treated in a different way, whereas like somebody like you really have to be a certain kind of human. As a female, it's like I don't expect to be treated in a different way. In fact, it's like I expect to be treated as one of the boys because that's the same respect that I want.
Great answer.
So I mean, maybe that could maybe be partially it.
Great answer. And you know, at the end of the show, I always like to say, have you got any advice for youngsters that are trying to break into the industry? And I think you've answered that question before anybody else. Don't try to be anything different than what you are, and expect to be treated equally within the industry, whether you're male, female, African, Caucasian. It doesn't matter what you are, as long as you deliver the product. That's what counts.
100%, man. I really think it's important that you are a master of your craft.
Yes.
You know, it's like you can't go in there and be like, oh well, I want to compete with somebody if you don't know your shit. You know, it's like you really have to be like, get onto YouTube. You can learn I learned everything that I know over looking over people's shoulders and YouTube. You know, so it's like there's really no excuse. Like you can get every piece of software for very little money now on your computer. Learn it. If you want to be a master of your craft, if you're a songwriter, learn how to record your voice. Learn about compression. Learn about how all these things work, because they're only going to help you understand what you want to achieve.
Absolutely. I had another question from Lauren, and she's in the Windy City, Port Elizabeth in South Africa, and she wanted to know if you've ever wanted to come home. Like literally wanted to pack your bags and just come home.
You know what? I haven't up until recently. I've started, last year was probably the first time that I started really getting homesick. I was just like, man, I really miss my friends, and I miss the relationship that I had with people in South Africa, and the sleepovers and the drive and it's like, and maybe that has to do with youth. I don't know. Maybe it's like I'm missing my youth. I don't know.
I'm not a youngster anymore, but I still do sleepovers.
I love that. It's one of my favorite things, man. It's like just last year was, and I think because I've had such a focus, I haven't had time to miss anybody, and I haven't had time to want to go backwards. Or like for me, it was forward or nothing. So and for some reason, like I said, last year was just like, oh man, I'm really homesick. Like I want to go to Cape St. Francis, and I want to go and surf. I want to go and hang out in the weird little bar and talk to some random strangers. And it was just missing those colloquial terms,
those connections.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, have you had an opportunity to settle down? And I mean, I think you've been so busy, but have you had an opportunity to have a significant other, family, things like that in the States, or has it just been too chaos?
I mean, I'm super focused on my career. up until this point. I mean, my partner and I bought a house 2 years ago out here, just outside of LA. But you know, it's like for me, my focus in life has really been. I came to the United States to pursue a career in music, and nothing is going to stand in my way. And if you I guess being with me comes with terms and conditions. You know, it's like this is what I'm here to do. And if you're not comfortable with it, then you need to move on, because I didn't come to South Africa, come to the United States to be a mom. Trust me.
Yeah.
You know, so and I do think that that's an important job too. It's just not for me.
One day, maybe.
Not for me. Thank you
Not
so
for you.
much.
Right. Talking about your
kids at bay.
Talking about your career now. I was going through your website the other day, and this new project that you're working on literally blew my mind. I never saw it coming. It like surprised me so much. It's incredible. Tell us a little bit about it. Tell us more about the pigs. We Are the Pigs, it's called, and tell us what it's all about, because I think there's some really interesting creative genius behind it and some inspiration. Share with us. Tell us all about it.
Thanks. Well, I actually just sent you an email of the next single, which is dropping on the 12th of March. If you would like to play it today for everybody.
I'm opening my email as we speak.
Yeah, it's a cover of The Red by Chevelle.
Okay.
So this project, it's a concept project and a concept album, and it was really just born out of sitting by idly for years and watching the music industry and business execs and labels and A&Rs like tell their artists how they should dress, what they should look like, like how the music should sound, you know, and I was a part of the problem because my job was to give the label what they wanted, you know. So I guess that this We Are Pigs is my purging of those feelings for feeling like I've been a part of the problem for so long.
But it's
allowing the music industry to be so cookie cutter, because I never said anything out of fear of retribution. Like, I want to grow my career. I want to be a huge producer, you know, so I'm going to be a yes man for some label who probably doesn't, like, all they're worrying about is the dollar bill. They don't care about the artist.
But it's so different to what we would expect from you, though. You know, and I know you've been away for a while and you've grown in the industry and stuff, but it's so different from the Esjay we knew from Stinging Love Jones. How does that happen? Is that growth, or is it you reaching a point in your life where you said, okay, time for something new?
You know, I've always been very, very attracted to heavy music. It's always been it's always just been something that I've loved. And my voice at the time, my voice was more poppy and sweet when I was growing up, and I didn't realize that I had this voice in me that was more like Chino from Deftones. You know, so it's been a really cool process. And you know, Sean from Seether was one of the first people that encouraged me to go after this. And you know, he was always just like, Esjay, you try too hard, like just allow it to come out and let your band do the work and you be you. And so this has kind of been, I guess there's a lot of anger and bitterness and joy and all of those things, you know, that are just living life. And I do think, like, where music really shines is when people are, and where creators really shine, or when people aren't, there's not necessarily all this joy. you know, and I think that the turmoil and the strife of these past 20 years of being in the music industry have really built up to this We Are Pigs project. And the cool thing is that it's just getting so much attention. I mean, I sent this to Billy Corgan, like, hey, do you want to jump on a track? And he's just like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
He's like, I love it. Like, how can I help you? You know, the same with Head from Korn. Him and I collaborated on a track. The Morgan Lander from the band Kitty, like we've just done a track. I've got some of the guys from Breaking Benjamin on a track. So it's just been an incredible collaboration of purging of feelings. And I think that's what's so cool about it. It's just like this very raw, emotional thing that has no boundaries or limitations. It's a really special project.
So what are you aiming for? Are you aiming for mainline success, or you want to break Spotify's downloads? It's like,
yeah, right.
What is it? What are you after?
Well, I mean, it's kind of weird because everything that I say about how much this project has been influenced and inspired out of my frustration of labels and the music industry, you know, ultimately I'm shopping this deal, this project, so that I can get some money behind it to push it. So it's like, you know, it's about work. It's about working the system. You know, how hard can you work the system? So right now I'm trying to work the system really hard.
Well, listen,
but not. This is going to be toured. I'm busy auditioning guys on online at the moment. It's going to be a 3-piece, so I'm playing with tracks. It's kind of like a 21 Pilots kind of setup, I guess. So I'll have a drummer, a guitarist, and myself. So it's a 3-piece, and then we're playing to tracks.
Absolutely incredible.
And I mean, what I would love to do is be on tour with the Korn guys, you know, or go on tour with Deftones, or maybe start with the Volbeat guys. You know, we all of this has already been opened and on the table, so I'm within tiny degrees of all of these players, so it's just really about things falling in line now.
Esjay, well, if I've picked up anything from you, and I go back to 20 odd years ago as well, you're the type of person that's going to make it happen. You've obviously done your homework, you've done your research, you've put the creative elements in place, and I'm pretty damn sure that you're going to be able to sell the project as well.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm really excited, and I can't wait for you guys to hear this cover. Will you play it?
Right, I've loaded it already. Good to go. I'm ready to go. Tell us a little bit about this. Has it got a little bit of intro? Because I obviously haven't heard it. Can I play it under your voice?
No, it starts straight up. Oh well, maybe has like a 4 or 5 second intro.
Okay. Well, you tell me when to fire it. But before we go there, I'm just going to say, Esjay, thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight. It was absolutely awesome to have you. And friends of SA Comedy threw your name into the hat, and I was like, yeah, why hasn't she been on the show yet? This should have happened like ages ago. So thank you so much for making the time. I know you're obviously in a business day today, and you've actually made time for us in the business day. We wish you all the success going forward, and we hope to see you back in the country one of these days for a visit.
So too, man. I cannot wait. Thank you so much for playing the We Are Pigs cover of The Red, originally performed by Chevelle.
Esjay Jones, you legend! We'll catch up soon.
Bye, guys.
It's a brand new offering from Esjay Jones, and of course the project is called We Are Pigs, and the track is The Red. And you get to hear it first here on RTL SA in South Africa. Very proud of the young lady doing such a great job in the United States. And oh man, it was so good to catch up a little bit and get into the thinking and the psyche behind this person that is doing some great things.
You're listening to Monday Madness.